Anthony, I want to mix things up a little bit. I'm tired of all this on land stuff. I want to go to sea.
Let's go to sea.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey everybody, welcome to Indefatigable. No Vacancy Live. That's Anthony Melchiorri. I'm Glenn Hausman. You are tuning into a very exciting show. Anthony, I feel like this week is all about the sea. We're going to be focusing on a cruise director today and what life is like on the sea on a cruise ship and how all that works over there. All right. So, Anthony, I haven't been on a cruise in way too long, definitely since before COVID. I'd like to do that again. I always thought they were a lot of fun. How about you?
I haven't been on a cruise in many, many years.
Bringing to the show, Eric Brouman. He's cruise director. Last with MSC Cruises, worked with Carnival Cruises. What a cool gig, man. Decades on the high seas, bringing joy to people's life. How cool is that?
It's great. It's great to be here. It's great to see both of you. And it's great because, Anthony, you have no idea how big of a fan I am of yours. You don't even understand.
Oh, let's find out.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we have a lot in common, which you don't realize. One, we both dress impeccably. Two, we both have great sense of humor. We're both short. And when we wake up, both of our hair look just like this. The same. We never do anything.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed the shows. And listen, I've always been fascinated by cruise directors and living that life. And I'm not meant to live that life. I'm not even meant to live in a hotel that I run. I'm two personalities. I'm a Gemini. I'm all in and I'm all out. So when I'm out, I'm out. And when I'm in. But I could not be in for 6 months. What is your state? When you get a contract, you have to be on the cruise ship for 6 months?
You do. I'm also a Gemini, so I understand that. We're usually on for 4 to 6, maybe 8 months. And then you have a break. It could be a month. It could be 2 months. And then the next cruise director comes in and takes over and takes your vacation, So it's a long time, but I love it.
Yeah, I want to know what goes on behind the scenes. I want to know all the sescapades. I'm sorry.
I feel like some of that's changed over the decades, at least when it became between staff and cruisers relations.
But it's interesting because you really have to be. I mean, it's family. It's grandpa, and it's the 16-year-olds, it's the 40-year-old. So there's a different level of entertainment that each person needs. I mean, even a comedian on a cruise ship, they have to basically work clean with a lot of, I would imagine, innuendos.
You're right. That's actually how I got my start on ships, as a magician and a comedian. Right. And then went to Disney, found out that I don't belong at Disney, right? The kind of material I wanted to get out. Right. And then traveled around the circuit, was a fly-on performer for many years, cruise staff, entertainment director, then worked my way up to cruise director to oversee the talent. So you are right. And back to your first word you said about the sexcapades. Well, we live, a man's got to eat. We live on the ship.
Right.
We are there for a long time, and it's like high school.
Right. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And and a lot of younger people as well. And a lot of people are single. So it's only natural.
But I was in South Africa when COVID hit. Mm-hmm. And then they said, we got to send everybody home 2 years ago. And I live in the Philippines. I actually have a place in Manila, but they couldn't send me there. They said, passport is U.S. You have an address of Cleveland, Ohio. We got to send you there. So I go to Cleveland. I'm stuck as a grown man at my parents' house.
Oh, gosh.
For almost 2 years because I couldn't get back to the Philippines. And I fell in love with this show called Hotel Impossible. It got me through COVID, but that's not the funny part. The funny part is after I watched a bunch of the free episodes, I had to start paying for them. So I started purchasing them and didn't realize the account was on my parents' credit card. I heard them arguing, who stayed at Hotel Impossible? Who the hell? All these charges for a hotel. Who is this? It was Probably the funniest inside joke for a long time. I didn't tell
Well, I would imagine they would be really worried if you were staying in a Hotel Impossible that costs $9.99 a month.
Right.
That's what I was wondering. And one of my favorite shows was you did in Sandusky, Ohio, which is the water park bug out.
Oh my good. Yeah, I would think that was the big final 2-part episode that you did over there. But Eric, before we talk about the bug out, it sounds like this would be a natural sitcom for you to pitch to Hollywood out there. A grown man off of a cruise ship, can't get back to his homeland, forced to live with his parents.
In
See how
Cleveland.
they get along. Yeah,
I
in
see
Cleveland.
your brains. You're already writing it.
So, Eric, let's wind the clock back. And you're talking about how you started as a comedian magician. I mean, that's a really rough existence early on when you're trying to do as many sets as possible in different comedy clubs around the country or in your hometown. What was the allure to get off of that kind of circuit and then get onto a cruise ship? How did that story begin for you?
I was tired, no joke, tired of driving around. Tired of getting in my car and going and staying in the crappiest hotels you could possibly imagine.
That's right.
And maybe $50.
Yes. And I know I'm going on tangents here, but it reminds me, no joke, of I had an assistant who would travel with me, and it was a guy, and we checked into this room. The guy is sleeping at the front desk. I had to wake him up. He comes, we check into this room. We find hair on the bed.
Oh my.
Go back to the front desk. I tell him, he says, no, I know you to do this. You take the hair, you put there, you do your business, and you want free room. I said, so that made me decide I want to start doing something else. And I got a job on Disney when I was about 19 as a cruise director, as a magician.
Right. All eyes are focused on you with the entertainment. It's pretty high stakes, especially if you got a 6-month contract, right?
That is true. And the minute you walk out of your cabin, you are on.
Yes.
And you are the face and the voice of the ship. And you are not just the guy on the stage, you are the go-to guy. What time is the show? I'm not joking here. My toilet doesn't flush. I've been trying to get a hold of my cabin steward. I haven't seen him all day. I want to make a reservation in the dining room, and there's a line. So the cruise director deals with more than you could possibly imagine.
But tell me the time you snapped on a guest and you got fired.
Well, I did not get fired. I have to hold back, and then I take a moment and pause, and most likely I'll be right back and leave and come back to compose myself or give them time to cool down. But one gentleman, I can't say the word he called me, very derogatory, racial, religious slur, right in my face and spit at me.
Oh my God.
And at that moment, I feel as a person, I have all right to do whatever, but I would lose my job.
Wow.
As they say in my neighborhood, that's the time you can catch a case.
Yeah.
I'm going from nice guy to death row in a second.
Right. But Eric, it doesn't surprise me. As cruise director, you are the face of that entire ship. You are the one that is getting everybody's attention to do things. You are the conduit between the cruise company and the enjoyable experience that everyone's having. So it's not a surprise to me that you get faced with these onslaught of questions.
Nobody's asking the captain. Like, the captain's untouchable. So you're the person. You're relatable. You're funny. So you're the person that gets the most probably abused. But yeah, it's where are we right now as a
wait, Anthony? Before you move on to that, I want to ask him, Eric. What are some of the skills that you learned over time that helped you get to people that if they were coming to you maybe with problems you couldn't solve? And I'm trying to relate this to the hospitality business, to some of the younger people that are here. How are you able to take a negative and have them walk away, even if they didn't get what they want, and turn it into a positive? What are some of the tricks and strategies that you use on that?
I really feel that most people want to be listened to and heard. So I let them vent, let them talk, let them say what they want. Don't interrupt them. Don't give them excuses. Don't say, well, because today we're short-staffed.
Right.
Listen, take it all in, and once I get it all in, my brain is like a Rolodex flipping through finding the best joke usually, but
Right.
trying to figure out how to solve this.
Right.
And sometimes after I listen to all of them, I don't need to do anything. They've talked it through.
Yep.
That's perfectly said. I couldn't have said that any better than yourself. And most of the time you know the answer, but you just have to give them all. They just want to talk.
Right. They want to get out what they have to say, but they also want to feel as if they're being heard. So to me, Eric, that means I guess a lot of direct eye contact, verbal acknowledgments as they're talking. Just make them know that they are comfortable talking to you, right?
Right. Most of my time, and we all do this, when we're out at restaurants or hotels, bars, anywhere, and we're interacting with management or something, we have a problem. I always look at things that they do, and if I don't look at how good they are. Oh my God, I like it. I want to be like that. I look at the things they do that are bad, and I go, I hope I don't do that. I don't want to do that. And one is, if I'm looking at someone and talking to them and they're right at me, but their eyes keep wandering because they want to see I feel they're not listening to me. And they're looking away at something. So I've seen that.
I always say the best way to really learn is recovery.
Right.
So where are we in the state of cruising? Is it we're trying to get our friend who runs the Celebrity Cruise Lines. Hopefully she'll come on soon. I was just talking to her the other day. She's actually where is she? She was in Hawaii, I believe, on a cruise.
Right.
And
Nice place to be.
So where are we right now with cruising?
I say we are like 99% back. All the ships that the company I work for are back in service, and that came back, all of them, I think within the past 4 months, all in service. If you get on LinkedIn, you'll start searching, and you can see there's now tons of jobs for crews.
Right.
Chefs, even cruise directors are looking, because, as you know, all these other people who had nothing to do for the 2 years who lost their job have kind of moved on to do something else. And now the ships are like, oh my God, these guys that we promoted to cruise director or to this or that, they're gone and we don't know what to do.
Right.
And that's a hard job to fill, I'd imagine. But also, like I just read an article this morning that someone was basically killed by a shark in the Bahamas, but the lead was guest of cruise ship dies of shark attack.
Right.
Like that just hurts the cruise industry again. She was on the beach in the Bahamas. It had nothing to do with the cruise ship. If she was on vacation on that beach, she could have been eaten by a shark. But again, and I feel horrible for her family because they're by the grace of God go I. But that's not the cruise ship's fault. Why make it like it's the cruise ship's fault?
They always do that. It's many people get off and go on an excursion,
right?
And someone drowns, and then it's the ship's fault because no one was there to watch them, but they went on their own.
Right.
I actually had to go ahead.
When Glenn isn't funny, apparently he blames me. So I guess people just like blaming each other.
Hey, scapegoat, baby. You got to have a good scapegoat. Look, Eric, I've made my career based on taking no personal responsibility, and I'm not going to stop now. Your
green screen today is off the charts. It looks like you're literally on that cruise ship.
Yeah.
Listen, dude, I wish I was.
I was going to ask you, what ship are you on? That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that because even though you're a director, you're kind of managing, even if you don't have a complete team that reports directly to you, I don't know how it works. What's the one thing you learned about human behavior when people from all nationalities, all places all over the world are literally trapped on a beautiful luxury jail for 6 months?
You laugh at that because in the Q&A that I do at the end of the cruise, when I tell people that my background, I went to college and kind of wanted to be a psychologist,
right? In
jail, prison psychologist. That's really what I wanted to be. I have no idea why, but I feel like on a ship, I am that psychologist. Some of us wear uniforms. We can't go anywhere, and I help them with their problems. I deal with a crew in my department of as little as 65 people. My last ship, I had 178 under me in the entertainment department. So those 178 that I deal with, Ukraine, UK, Russia, Israel, Italy, lots from Italy, I have to deal with them. And there's all kinds of fights. They don't understand sometimes my English, my joke.
Of course, and that's probably the worst of it all, getting out a really solid joke and people don't understand it because of a language or cultural barrier. But I'm just joking. How do you bring together everybody with different cultures to get all on the same page and communicate with them in the way that they are, accustomed to being communicated to?
For me, I have to feel like I've got to just. I'll give you an example. I didn't understand the Filipino lifestyle or the culture until I lived there for almost 11 years. And now, being on a ship for almost 25 years, I could understand, even though they're speaking English, they got a very strong accent.
Right.
I understand everything because I'm immersed into it. And I really can't answer that question, but I can tell you this. My parents or other people, I don't understand what he's saying. What is he saying? I can't understand him. I go, he's speaking English. I don't understand him.
Right.
Yeah.
What does a guest look for 25 years ago on a cruise ship, and what does a guest look like look for today?
Fatter.
Yeah, that's what they definitely look like.
They're a lot fatter now. The buffet has gotten bigger.
Like if I come on a cruise ship, I mean, it used to be dressing up and galas, and I'd imagine, do they even have a formal night anymore, or that's all gone?
Okay, so it depends on the cruise line, but for the ones that I've worked for recently in the past 10 years, they have one night that's a formal night. Your option. You don't have to dress up. Going into the dining room, it's jeans and maybe a button down. They don't really want you wearing shorts. They can tell you to go, go put some pants on. But the big 5-star lines, Viking, Oceania, they are looking for you looking like us right now.
Right. And Eric, I mean, the cruise business is bigger than it's ever been before. There are more ships out there than ever before. How is all of this, in your opinion, changing the entire way that people cruise?
I think the fares are going down.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing a different demographic than we used to when I got started.
And it's always been affordable. Now it's like unbelievably affordable, certain ships. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but what he's trying to say, he's trying to be nice.
People, I know what he's saying. I understand what he's saying.
How to travel, people that don't know how to travel.
I've got my code book over here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know you know that, but people that don't know how to travel don't know how to travel.
Yeah.
Because listen, there's a way to travel. There's a way to go through TSA. There's a way to get on the plane. The person that takes their stinky dinner out in first class or in business class, you don't know how to travel. You don't do that.
Right.
You don't do that. And so I would imagine that's people just don't know how to travel, and it's inconvenient to other people.
It's you're 100%. I'm trying to be so PC about this, but it's also even down to how they dress.
Sure.
And being out at the pool is one thing, but coming in from the pool and going into the dining room dressed in your cut-off shirt, and it's terrible.
But why, and also why do they make pools so small? But more importantly, most people don't know there are doctors on board and there's a jail on board.
Yep.
Has anyone ever been in jail when you've been on board?
Oh, yes. I actually was locked up for a week. No, this is the truth.
That wasn't funny, Glenn. That was
the jail is next to the morgue on most of the ships. And there is a morgue that usually holds maybe 4 bodies, sometimes only 2. And there's a locked up area. However, most of the time, if someone does something a certain caliber, they're locked in their stateroom, not a jail, and security sits outside their door.
Right.
The captain then makes the decision if they're leaving the next port.
Right.
Same with crew. If a crew member gets fired, let's say it's in my team, I know about it. The crew member does not.
Right.
There's HR. I have to sign something. And this is the worst part of all. We call it the 6 o'clock knock. And
Yeah.
the security have to go to that door, knock on the singer's door. Hey, man, so sorry, you've been terminated. You've got 1 hour to pack your bags.
Oh.
Now, when they go to pack their bags, then they've been on that ship for 5 months, and then they go to close the door, security puts their foot in and has to kind of watch. Doesn't want them wrecking the room or taking the TV.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, in hotel business, when you let a director of sales or a sales manager go, you go up, you ask them, you've been terminated, and security walks you out because you don't want them taking all the information. Nowadays, it's different because everything's on there. They already have that. All the information's in their house because it's on the computer. But it's that's the terrible part of it. But you can't let them go until you dock, right? Because you don't want them, you don't want to lock them up in their room.
Usually,
go on, Eric. Sorry, please.
Usually, we're already docked, and it's either the home port, let's say Miami, or if it's something terrible that we need that guest or crew member off immediately. Mm-hmm. I've seen people, no joke, I've seen the river, I forget the word now, a boat pull up alongside. They were right next to each other and they go off it. I've seen us dock somewhere else or anchor out just to get that person off. I've seen more for medical reasons, for life flight, because that's really expensive. But I've seen many life flight helicopters for medical reasons.
And does that happen almost on every cruise ship where somebody's got to be evacuated off?
It depends on how long the cruise is, because the longer the cruise, the older
the higher percentage. Oh, right.
Yeah. So, quick example: when we do crossings, across Atlantic for a 30-day cruise, it's hard. There's always something going on.
So, what's something on a cruise ship that we have no idea exists besides the morgue? Because I didn't realize that
I know they have a bar just for staff.
Correct. We have we call it, when I talk about it in public, it's the crew library.
Yeah.
But the crew bar has definitely changed its prices over the years, but an average Heineken would be about $1.25.
Wow.
So for the guests, that's going to be $6, $7, $8.
Right.
But we've got, the road that goes all the way through Miami, pretty much throughout half the United States, I-95. On every cruise ship in the world, the lower floor, the lower deck, where the crew get from back to forth underneath I-95.
Oh, that's fun.
I didn't know that.
That came out with the Miami ships. And then, that was, I think, in the 80s or so. And I was just on a ship with a company out of Israel. They never heard of I-95. They don't
of course.
They call it Deck Zero. I'm like, what?
What's the one thing somebody going on their cruise for the first time should know? Like, what's the thing, like a good heads up for a first-time cruise person?
Don't eat the cut-up fruit that they put in your drink.
Okay.
That's more of a joke, but that's more of a personal preference for me.
No, but I don't do that in regular bars, so I agree.
Correct.
Yeah.
We can't keep control of all the fruit flies and all the stuff that's cut up on that fruit.
Yeah.
And we try our best. That's just my personal preference. That I don't do. But on a more serious note, I would probably have to say, when you are going off the ship for an excursion or on your own, like you're in Cozumel, make sure your phone is set to the right time. Check the time zones. Check that you've updated it. You will miss the ship. All the things change constantly.
It's true, dude. If you leave at 11, you leave at 11.
On TikTok, I don't know if you check it out on TikTok, but they have this thing called the dock run now. And there's somebody filming all the dock runs to the ship. And I was watching something the other day, and these two people, I'll just say, they were at the buffet and they haven't run a block in a very long time.
Right.
And they were running down the dock and you hear the entire ship go, come on! Does that happen a lot? Does that happen a lot?
It happens more in the party places like Cozumel, Grand Cayman. Well, Grand Cayman is more of a tender operation. So you have to take a tender boat.
Oh, boy,
The bigger ships can't dock there. And if you missed the last tender, you got to swim. There's no way to get back to the ship. You're SOL. Yeah.
Right. Wow. That's really not fun at all. So what's the most interesting, unique cruise that you ever did as a cruise director or in another capacity on the ship? Because there's so many besides crossing the seas and Alaska and, all sorts of things.
Well, the one that just came to the first of my mind was, and I can't wait to see Anthony, but a lot of companies charter the ship. And they charter, they sell out their own website to get tickets. And I was the cruise director on a nude cruise. And so you had 2,500 middle-aged people and over that age. They come on the ship, they're fully dressed. All of a sudden, you sail away, bing bong, those clothes are off. And
the second the casino opens, they know you hit international date lines, the borders, I mean.
No?
Say again?
Did you have to take your clothes off or no?
I was told to put them back on.
But that would be interesting. I know that they have poker cruises, which one day I want to go on, where they take the whole ship, like World Poker Tour takes a ship, and there's poker tournaments. All
You play poker?
I'm a big poker player.
Oh, big time.
God, I did. See, one thing I did not know about you. That's why you have a good poker face.
We've never heard this podcast because I talk about it every day.
Yeah.
What were
not that bad. It's only every other day.
Were you born May 24th?
June 15.
Close.
All right, but yeah, I'm a big poker player, and I really want to go on a poker cruise. I think that would be a lot of fun. But what does it ever like? I can't imagine what the mentality is of somebody that has a career going away on a ship for 6 months. So is there something like where you're like, you know what, this isn't for me and I got to try this, and then you try it and then you come back to cruising? Like, I would imagine it's very taxing on your emotions and being, basically cooped up for 6 months, but also you wanted to be a psychiatrist for prisoners. So maybe you're just crazy.
I am crazy. But for me, every time I do a contract and I'm on for 6 months or 3 months or 5 months, I can't wait for my vacation. And I get off the ship. I go to the Philippines for like about a month, or I come to Cleveland. And after a week, everything is the same. The same people go to the same grocery store. The same ringtone on that person's phone I can't stand. The same restaurants your family's going. It drives me crazy. They don't understand my life on a ship is different every single day. And that's what I look for. I come home and stay on board.
But doesn't it get to be the same in the sense that you're on the same ship a lot of times doing the same 3 or 4 locations every single week? Or is it just that the mix of people and experiences are really what changes it for you?
All of that, right.
Yeah.
So every week or however long the cruise is, you've got new guests.
Yeah.
So that joke that I said tonight might not have worked tonight, but next week it's going to kill. Yeah. And it's just always different. And recently, I was on a ship in Miami where we had almost 6,000 guests. So I would host 3, if not 4 shows a night. And you'd get 1,000 people in or 1,500 people in, and I'd introduce the big show. And I got to do about 5 or 6 minutes or longer.
Right.
You've got 1,000 people who speak multiple languages. And a lot of them from Miami, Spanish.
Right.
And, so my jokes might not go over.
Right.
Do you speak any other language besides English?
Well, when MSC Cruise Lines, I started contacting them. They didn't want me because I only spoke English, and they were only Italian audiences or international.
Right. And MSC Cruises was founded in Italy, but operates out of, has flags out of another country, right? Like a lot of the American.
They had offices in Sorrento, and now they've got offices in Miami and flags in Panama. Yeah. But to end the long story here, I would stay in touch constantly. And no, not yet. And all of a sudden, about 3 years later, I get this call from an Italian guy in charge named Fabio. Eric, it's a Fabio in Sorrento. Yep. Are you still interested in coming to MSC? We're coming to America. And then I thought of the movie Coming to America.
I'm curious as to you've been on so many ships and you've been around it for so long. How the amenities and the ships keep getting bigger and grander and bolder. Where does it head from here? You know, what are some of the things that you're most interested in seeing right now on cruise ships?
Well, some of the cruise lines now, and I won't mention names, but one of them rhymes with Carnival. They have roller coasters now.
It's crazy.
The water slides are getting bigger. There's the roller coasters. They're doing the fireworks off the back of the ship. They're doing golf putting into the, what's that?
Skeet shooting.
Skeet shooting. You know, I personally started my career on big ships, but I prefer the smaller ships. I prefer the ships that have 500, 400, 300, 200. You get to know the people.
That's right. Yeah.
And then the service is 10 times better on the smaller ships.
Yeah, I like what they're doing on the bigger ships. They're making it almost like a whole separate section for people that pay a little bit more and have a whole private section, their own pool. I just had a friend that came off a cruise, and the first thing they said is the pool was ridiculous. It's like everybody standing on top of each other for the pool. And that to me is you want to be in the pool on a cruise ship. And that to me, like Disney World, I like Disney cruises, but I didn't like the fact that they didn't have a place, they don't have gambling, which I like to play poker. And two, their pool, I remember my little daughters, my twins, they were in this pool the size of, my mouse on my, no pun intended to Mickey Mouse, but it was so small. It was comical. It was like no one thought that that's a bad idea.
You're right. The MSC, we have something called the Yacht Club. Yeah. And the Yacht Club is beautiful. A lot of the ships now have something similar. It is your own cabins. It is your own pool, your own small little casino, your own dining room. You can come down and mingle with the common folk.
Right.
But you got everything you need up there with 100 people or so, and it's 5-star beautiful.
Yeah, Glenn knows that's my style, right, Glenn?
It definitely your style. But Anthony, as for the pools go, I believe cruise ships are so small because the more water you have, the more that the water will be out of control, sloshing back and forth. It'll be exaggerated compared to the ship's movements, right?
Then do something that makes sense. Don't have a small pool and then let 5,000 people all just go to the pool.
You could have like a string of them,
right?
I would think, yeah.
You're allowed to use the pool on Monday. You're allowed to use the pool on Tuesday. But I think it's worse when there's 5,000 people at the pool, and basically it's it's Disney World, so the pool is very warm.
Never mind. But you're right. They have multiple pools on the bigger ships. Some have 3 pools: mid, aft, and forward. Yep. And you get to choose. And one of them might be a 21 and over or 18 and over pool only. And I have been on many ships during hurricanes, during tsunamis, in Gulf of, where were we? In Somalian waters.
No, thank you.
Pirates were, I'm kidding, pirates shooting at the ship.
That's crazy.
And the water, 30-foot swells over the top of the ship. I remember we were in the dining room having to hold up a whole wall full of wine bottles in a shelf. We had to hold the shelf because it was going to fall over.
Wow. But what do you do do they have security on these ships to fight back now?
We do have security. Most of the ships have uniform security. They don't carry a gun. There is an area that
like to deal with pirates.
If pirates are shooting at you, do we have the ability to shoot back?
When a ship is when we know we're going to be going through areas that have that, they bring on armed guards, but what do you call it? Plain clothes. You don't know what they look like. The last time I was on one, they brought in the Israeli army, and they all say again.
I got an idea. Don't go to those oceans. You could give me a free 5-star experience on a cruise ship that's going into that area, and I'm not going. I'm sending Glenn.
Well, the crew like it because we get hazard pay.
Yep, Not a bad idea.
It has to pay. You're filling up the morgue. No, thank you. I'm good.
Well, they only have 4 slots, so that many people
You know
won't
what?
get
You
killed.
can have to be a Navy SEAL too, but you're also are more likely to die. So the has to pay goes to your burial costs.
So we got a question coming in from a LinkedIn user. Where does MSC fit on the service scale?
Well, when I started with them, I was told that we are a European-based company, so the service is different than American service. Mm-hmm. And the first example, when I came on, I realized that you had to ask for water at first. And Americans, our glass of water is down right away.
That's right.
Right when you sit down. In Europe, you got to ask for it. So these are things that the company started to learn when they came to American waters, like Miami. As soon as the guest comes down, pour them a glass of water. That took a year for them to figure out.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And the service is great. It's just a little slower than what in the American, they've learned it now, but it was a lot slower because I found Europeans just sit back and relax.
Yeah, they take 2-hour lunches and hang out while we eat lunch at our desk for 10 minutes.
Isn't that America now? I think America's finally realizing the European model works. We don't want to work, we want to work from home, and we want Mondays and Fridays off. We haven't got to the Spanish lunch hour, which is from 2 to 6 or something.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
I know the siesta. I know. I was
Madrid. I couldn't find a place. We got off the plane. We couldn't find a place until 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
The guests are not allowed in the crew areas, but if you came down to see how the crew eat, some of the officers and staff were allowed to eat with the guests. We can eat in the dining room buffets.
Right.
But majority of the crew, housekeeping, bar staff, they're in the crew mess. And they eat so fast. It's gulping it down very, very fast. Really? Literally, they got the rice in their hand and they're shoveling it in and they're back to work. And it's amazing. And I have done that now for so long that now when I'm home, I'm the first one done eating.
Yes, but Eric, we're just about out of time. What messaging do you have for everybody that might be interested in starting a career in going down the cruise business?
All right. Different question about career. I would say what can go wrong except, we got a morgue and we got a jail. So experience it for the younger people, 18, 19, 20, 21 who want to get away. If you're singer, dancer, bartender, waiter, whatever, want to try to pay for everything. The ship pays for your flights, your meals, transportation to and from the ship. The only thing you have to pay for out of pocket is your medical. Some cruise lines will pay you back for that, reimburse you. And then while you're on the ship, everything is free unless you want to pay for Wi-Fi or alcohol. But other than that, it's a great experience.
If you get sick on a ship, the doctor takes care of you, right? You can go to the doctor.
Oh, yeah. When you are a crew, you are fully covered by the insurance on the ship. So everything that you need is taken care of.
That's awesome.
So you can go to there's a full medical staff, right?
If you break your leg, they've got, no joke, you can go into labor. You shouldn't be on the ship anyways. They can deliver a baby. They've got a full staff, full hospital.
How about dentists?
Well, the ship dentist is also the ice carver on board. So that...
I understand why you stopped being a comedian. I get it.
All right. Eric, how do we learn more about you? I know you can't tell us where you're going to be next, but if people want to get in touch with you, how do we find you?
Well, my name is right there. I got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Just use my name. And I always tell people, a lot of people ask me why I do my hair this way. I was going to ask Anthony that too, but I'll save that question. Is 2 reasons. One, I sleep standing up in a corner like this, but there are lots of cruise directors on ships all throughout the world, and you may not like all of us, but you'll never forget me.
You've got your hair's got a very Murray Sawchuck vibe about it. He's a Las Vegas magician. Yeah, yeah, sure. Eric, his name is pronounced Brouman, but it's spelled Brouman. That's Brouman for our audio listeners. Eric, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a blast.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Eric.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
That was fun.
We're just cruising through.
Yeah, man, I got to get on another one of these cruises.